Do you even exist? How can you know for sure if you exist? And it sounds like a kind of even a silly question that kids ask their parents. And they usually, answer them, go finish your food or something, because they themselves don't really know what to answer. But if you really think about this question, it can go pretty deep, and it's not such a simple question. Now, maybe there is a force that is controlling every action and every thought you have, and that's painting the picture that you call reality. Interestingly, René Descartes, the 17th century French philosopher, he calls this force an evil genius demon, which sounds pretty crazy, but is it that crazy? So we're going to find out. Let's do this. I want you to imagine, just for a moment, that you are a goldfish and you're swimming around, right? So how would life be as a goldfish? How would you experience reality? Would you be able to really answer this question of existence? Probably not. With your small brain and short-term memory, you probably would, experience reality in a very, very different way than human beings experience it. You could probably, argue that we're nothing like goldfish. This is like zero perception, 0%. And, this is where, so a goldfish would be over here. And we're human beings, we're so smart and developed and evolved. And we're probably, close to here. Maybe not 100%, but we're here. So of course we exist, we're smart, evolved beings, and we can think and we can do things and see and touch, and we sense reality. And we're watching a video on YouTube now. Perhaps we're not looking at a full picture. Perhaps the spectrum is really a lot longer, and even much longer than this page can draw. And the 100% perception, is over here. And when you zoom into it, we're actually not that far from the perception of a goldfish. So then how can we answer this question if we exist or not? Now, let's take this discussion, one step deeper. Now, I want you to imagine for a second that you're dreaming. So you go to sleep and then you dream. And while you're dreaming, it feels so real, right? And when you're in the dream, sometimes, if it's lucid dreaming, then you're in a dream and you can even take action. But in most cases, while you're dreaming, you experience that reality is real. So how do you know that right now you are not in some form of a dream-like reality? How can you prove to me that you are not in a dream right now? So you could say the fact that you think is already possibly implying that something does exist. So Kabbalists, for those of you who don't know, Kabbalists are scientists that have developed a measuring device that enables them to interact with reality, to connect to forces in reality that we cannot connect to now. And just imagine, like you have a cell phone, and because you have a cell phone, you can make a phone call and connect to cellular waves that are in the air now. And without this device, you wouldn't even know that they exist. So Kabbalists are similar. They've developed a device, except it's not external, it's internal. And this device enables them to connect to forces of reality that we do not perceive with our five senses. Now, what did they find? They found a few very interesting things. They found, first of all, that we are in fact in a dream-like reality. What they discovered is that there is existence and there is a reality, but what we see here is the lowest level of it. And they actually call it a dream. They say that when a person developed that internal tool and perceived these hidden forces of nature, it is exactly like waking up from a dream. Think about what this means about your life and every experience you've had and how you experience it, and suffering and pain and pleasure and all of these things. So if they did in fact attain what they say they attained, and they did describe this reality as a dream, then there must be some incredible reality to wake up to. Kabbalists found that there is a force inside of us that, like the René Descartes example of the evil demon genius, this internal force, which is called ego, is conveying and portraying everything we see through a very, very specific lens, you could say. And this lens, it is driven by this program that the ego is built upon. And the program is actually pretty simple. It's a will to receive pleasure. That's all it is. Maximum pleasure at minimum effort. That's the ego. That's that evil genius demon that's controlling our every thought, that's governing our moves, that's driving our calculations for the present and for the future. How can I get the most with investing the least? Now, it doesn't mean that I won't invest. I could invest. I could go study for years in order to achieve something, or work 80, 90 hours a week in order to achieve greater future benefit. But I'm still driven by that simple mechanism, which is called the ego. If what I see is this limited perception of reality, then what is reality? So that they found too, that they found a state of completion, of wholeness. And not only that, that each and every one of us is a part of that complete state. Only currently we live in this state unconsciously, and only a tiny spark connects us to this general force of nature. And everything that we sense in this world, what we call livelihood or life, is actually driven from this tiny spark of the connection to that force. So, we do exist, but we currently exist on the lowest possible level, just like a goldfish. We are tied to the actual reality by a single tiny point, and we can wake up. We can connect to that force. All we need to do is we need to develop that tool that will enable us to connect to those hidden forces of reality. And what will we find? Well, Kabbalists explain here, you will find a reality of infinite fulfillment.